Today we'll be talking on Facebook Live with Aaron Shingler and Today we put. Today we'll be talking on Facebook.
Sorry.
Why is this? Today we'll be talking on Facebook Live with Welsh rugby player Aaron Shingler and sports journalist Ben James, all about the build-up to this weekend's Six Nations.
This is CJS News.
Good afternoon and welcome to the latest edition of CGS News' Friday Facebook Live. The Six Nations is one of the oldest rugby tournaments in the world, dating all the way back to 1883. And if you ask anyone here in Wales, you can tell it's a bit of a big deal. But as we're all aware, this year's competition will be unlike any other. For this Sunday's opening game against Ireland, the streets and pubs of Cardiff will be empty, and the Principality Stadium will have no 80,000 crowd noise. Please get in touch with us on the Sofa Six Nations hashtag to tell us how you'll be making Sunday special. Joining me to talk about the excitement of the tournament, but also just how quite different the competition will be this year is Wales and Scarlet's flanker Aaron Shingler and sports journalist Ben James. Ben is a rugby correspondent for Wales Online. He's a former Wales Sports Journalist of the Year, and he's been covering all the build-up to this year's competition. Aaron has played more than 180 times for the Scarlets and has 27 caps for Wales. He won the 2012 and 2013 Six Nation competition, so has ample experience in the magic of the tournament. Welcome to you both. Thanks for joining us. And I'll start with Aaron. The Six Nations is always a massive occasion. What does it feel like to walk out of the Principality for a Six Nations game?
You're in the change rooms. It's all pretty quiet in the change rooms, and then you walk out, and it just the energy and the adrenaline it gives you is, it's hard to really explain, but it's a pretty good feeling.
And obviously you'll know the preparations that'll be going on in camp at the minute. What sort of prep will the guys be going through now?
Today was it 2 days out. I think they'll be doing, probably an hour and a half. It's team run day today, isn't it? Oh, they're playing Sunday? Sunday, yeah. So 2 days out. So they'll be having, it'll be a pretty fast session today. A little bit of contact, I should imagine, about 5 minutes of contact. But yeah, hour and a half of intensity, and then it'll be resting up the rest of the day.
So what will the atmosphere in the camp be like now? Will it be quite intense, or will it be sort of game plan focused on Sunday?
Yeah, I think they'll have, it'll be pretty relaxed, but that sort of hour and a half period will be, the meeting will be really focused on the game. You step on the training pitch, it'll be intense the whole time, and then once the session over, you just try and relax. Boys will be on the laptop, sort of analysing the training and analysing Ireland, seeing what they can pick up, final and finishing touches really. But it'll be a relaxed sort of as much as they can possibly do really.
And Ben, speaking as someone who has had the privilege of covering the Six Nations, what does going to these games mean to you?
I mean, it's massive. I think the first thing, whenever you tell someone you're a sports journalist, I think the first thing people sort of say is that you write rubbish, which is to be standard. That's expected. But the second thing is they sort of assume that you get free tickets to all the rugby matches, and I do try to explain that it's not quite like that. You have to do a fair bit of work while you're there, but effectively you get a front row seat to watch all the sports that you love, and that's something that you never really sort of lose the appreciation for in the job, and even more so now, when there's no fans in it, you sort of realize how much more of an honor it is to sort of be in the stadium watching these sports live.
Of course, you're a fan when there are no fans, so it must be great fun.
Yeah, I've probably been accused of being a fan with a pen on more than one occasion, but it's surreal being in there, sort of where you can hear all the coaches and all the players speaking. You get a different appreciation for things. You can hear the players' calls on the pitch, and you can hear what the coaches are saying, usually sat quite closely to you. So you see the game in a different light. So it's interesting, but yeah, nothing beats sort of Principality Stadium on a Six Nations weekend with 70,000 people in there.
Now, of course, you have been sending us in your questions on the Sofa Six Nations hashtag, and we have a couple of them here. For Aaron, Siwan and Didnor is asking, well, who's the best player you've ever played with?
Scarlets wise, probably, when the year we sort of won the league, in my position, James Davis and type, playing with them guys, they were very, they were just relentless. Just their work rate. I always come off the pitch sometimes absolutely exhausted, and then I'd look at the stats on like a Monday, and they do more than me, a lot more than me, and I was just like, how are they getting through that much work? So yeah, them two would be up there for me.
What about for Wales? Who do you think for Wales is the best player you've played with?
I think when Falletau is on his A game and he's got his footwork going. I always admire that. He just beats the first guy every time. Which is hard to do. So he'd be up there as well.
We also have a question for Ben from Theon Williams in Abergele, who's asking, what's the highlight of your career as a sports journalist been? Is there any game in particular that you've written about that stands out?
I thought you were going to ask me who's the best player I've played with. In terms of a highlight, I'd probably have to say 2019 because that was the first Grand Slam I covered. So yeah, the Wales Island game, sort of going into that, and you thought this was going to be a nervy sort of encounter, and then it was like the perfect procession for that Grand Slam. Hadley Park scored early on, and then the next 80 minutes were pretty much a joy just to sort of live blog that, knowing that at the end of this, it's going to be fantastic. So yeah, that I think. Also, Wales beating Australia 2018. I think it was the first time they'd beaten them in about 10 years. That was a nice one because I think that was the first game I was at as a fan. So what was I, about 12? So covering that as well was quite nice to sort of bring it full circle.
Yeah, I was at the Ireland Wales game, and one of the most joyous days of my life, I think. Please keep the questions coming in the comment section down below. We'll try to answer as many as we can over the course of this event. And now, looking forward to this year's tournament. Wales obviously haven't had the best run of form recently, and I'm sure they'll be looking for a strong start to try and reclaim the title they won in 2019. Aaron, you were part of the championship winning squads in 2012 and 2013. What does it feel like to win the competition?
It's a bit surreal, to be honest with you. You're on the pitch at the end of the game, walking around, and the trophy and everything, and it's not until you really a couple of days later when you're just sitting in the house, you realise what you've achieved, and as a kid, you always see people win these trophies, and you just love to be a part of it, and to actually experience it was just unreal, really.
Well, what the celebration is like, I imagine they can get pretty intense.
Yeah, just happy. Do you know what I mean? It's it's hard to explain. You're just you sit in your chair after the game, and you're just reflecting on the sort of 8 weeks because it is intense. It's tough on the body, So as much as you're happy, you're happy just to sit down and relax and just be thankful it's over and the outcome is what you wanted.
And Ben, there's a sort of cultural significance to some of these games. They mean a lot to Wales. What sort of impact do you think winning the tournament as a whole has on a national mood? And also, do you think it's even more important that we do well in this year's tournament, given the year we've had?
I think, yeah, massively. I think you can sort of see, anytime, Wales play an international test match, when everyone's coming into work Monday morning, that's the thing they're going to be talking about. Particularly if they sort of work near the border, and if we've just played England, that basically defines their week. It sets the agenda for the next week. If Wales do well at rugby, everything's a little bit better for the next 7 days. Especially now, I know we're not going into the office at the minute, but we probably need that pick me up a little bit more. And I think that's something that Wayne Pivac himself is very aware of. He spent the last 5-6 years in Wales. He understands the culture of Welsh rugby, and it's something that he's talked about a lot. He feels, as does the squad, a great responsibility to sort of put smiles on the faces of Welsh people.
Yeah, I know. We'll all be hoping it's a great tournament ahead. Even Naylor, who's 9 and from Cardiff, has got in touch, and he wants to know who you think the player to watch is. So, Aaron, is there anyone who stands out for you? Either in the Wales squad or in the other teams in the tournament? Is there any particular person?
I think for Wales, I think that Thomas Williams at 9 when he's running and he's got an open game. Very difficult to get hold of him. So I'll be looking forward to seeing him. And if Wales can play this expansive game, I think he's going to be one of the stars. Someone probably like looking at England, I quite like watching Anthony Watson. Yeah, I like the way he beats defenders and his acceleration. I got quite like enjoy watching him.
And Ben, what do you think? Who do you think is the standout guy?
It's hard to disagree with Aaron there. I think this is going to be the tournament that we sort of see. Hopefully, Thomas Williams nailed down the number 9 jersey. I think is at the last 2 Six Nations he started the first match, but he's never really had an extended run of games in the start in 15. Obviously it's well noted how many scrum halves played to Wales last year, but I think now with Thomas Williams back from injury, he'll certainly be one to watch in the tournament. And beyond that, you can't look beyond someone like Antoine Dupont for France. It's going to be an interesting tournament for them. They're sort of last year they came in with a lot of new faces and a lot of new caps. There wasn't as much pressure this time. I think they're rightfully up there as favourites. So it'll be interesting to see how they sort of handle that.
Obviously, you mentioned Dupont there. He obviously broke out into the scene last tournament as a youngster. Do you think there's any youngsters that will kind of replicate the same sort of form this term that might break out of the scene and become a new superstar?
That's a good question. It's a job to tell for Wales for starters, because a lot of the sort of the younger boys who were blooded in the autumn have sort of been replaced for experience. The likes of Dan Lydiate are back and he's starting on the weekend. It'll be interesting to see who sort of pushes through to sort of back up Dan Biggar in the fly half jersey. You've got 2 young fly halves in this squad, in Callum Sheedy and Jared Evans, who don't have too many caps between them, but it'll be interesting to see who can sort of push on and test Biggar's place in the team, because they're both slightly different fly halves who can offer a lot of test level.
And so we do have some live questions coming in from the comment section, so we are watching there. We have one here from Reggie Mitchell, who I'm not sure if both of you are participating in the fantasy football, fantasy rugby this year. But he's asked, who have you got on your Six Nations fantasy team? Who are the key boys you think will be part? Aaron, you taking part? You keeping out of it?
I'm not taking part yet, but you never know. It's a bit of fun, so I might do it today. Actually, now you mentioned it. Would I go fighter now? It's such a tough one this year. I'd say there's a lot of teams that are playing well. You couldn't definitely say who's going to be the top 3. So it could go in. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
And Ben, who would be the people you'd be picking? Who would be the points, the one racking up the points?
Well, I had to pick a team for work this week to sort of pick the best team you can within the budget, and it's not gone too well, because I picked Caelan Doris. He's now out of the Wales game. I picked Charles Olivon. There's now calls in France for him to be dropped. So it's not going particularly well, but I think I managed to get Jalibert, Farrell and Lee Halfpenny in the team. So that's 3 goal kickers. So that's probably a sensible way of looking at your back line.
Is there a forfeit if you lose?
I hope not.
We've got another live question in here, and this one's for Ben. This is from Abby Wallace. She's asking, how much pressure do you think Pivac is under if Wales don't do well? Obviously, he went through that autumn period with lots of calls on his role. Do you think he'll struggle if he doesn't do well here?
I think naturally there's pressure. There's always pressure on a Wales coach, and I think Wayne knows that. I think he's lived in Wales and he's coached in Wales long enough to recognise that, and he's got experience at test level with Fiji, so he understands the pressures that are there. I think a lot of people are calling this Six Nations make or break. I'm not certain I quite agree with that. I think the one thing with what Wayne's trying to do and what the WRU want Wayne to do, importantly, is it needs a lot of time. It needs a lot of patience. Much has been made about the break clause towards the end of this year. So if you get to that, maybe something will happen then. But I think for the time being, he has still got time on his hands, and I think he's learnt the lessons of the last year in terms of trying to change things and having such a disrupted year. And I think he's made some compromises in what he wants to do. So I think I'm very hopeful that we're gonna see Wales turn the corner, because I think some of the results last year didn't quite reflect the performances.
And so moving on now to talk about the elephant in the room that is the coronavirus pandemic. Obviously, a key part of the Six Nations is the atmosphere that those games bring. We won't be having that at the Principality Stadium, and the lack of fans is clearly something that's on a lot of people's minds. Both John Owen from Llandalo and Roger Davis from Cardiff have been asking what sort of impact the empty stadium will be having on players. Aaron, I know you haven't had a chance to play a lockdown match yet, but do you think that will have any effect? Did you normally feed off the atmosphere that was in the stadium, in that bus as you get into Cardiff City Centre with all the fans there? Did that sort of gear you up, psych you up ready?
Yeah, massively. I think that's what the Six Nations is all about, is the occasion. So it's going to be strange for them players to run out, and they're not going to have that sort of adrenaline rush. Although they'll be right on the edge and they'll want to perform. I think if the game sort of makes a few mistakes, you might see you might see a bit of a flat sort of spell where the crowd sometimes lifts you up. You're not going to have that. But I think they would have talked around that as a squad, and there's still going to be millions watching. So, but it's definitely not it's not as good as it.
Do you think that could have an impact on home advantage, as it were? We're playing England and Ireland at home this year, which are usually massive games with massive crowds. Do you think that can impact the result of the tournament, with the teams playing at home not having that sort of pick-me-up from fans?
Definitely. You're not going to have that sort of, you're the roar of the crowd. It does give you more energy. It gives you that adrenaline, and you're not going to have that. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Let's hope it never happens again. And this is the last time we see a Six Nations without sort of any crowd and the atmosphere.
And of course, it's not just the players who are experiencing a massively different Six Nations, but the fans as well. Normally on a rugby day, about over 250,000 people flock into Cardiff City Centre, and now it'll be completely empty. Ben, how do you think the fans will be feeling ahead of this weekend?
It's going to be strange. I've never known sort of a Six Nations build-up like it. I've seen all the sort of time-lapse videos from the first weekend last year, all the people sort of hustling and bustling through Cardiff, and that's, to me, it's one of the most enjoyable parts of a Six Nations weekend, is literally just walking into town on the way to the Principality Stadium and just seeing Cardiff transformed into a completely different city. And so it's going to be odd where we are in terms of lockdown. We're not even at a sort of stage where you can go to the pub and you can watch it in a bubble of three. We are literally in a complete lockdown. So it's going to be very odd being at this level of lockdown ahead of the Six Nations.
Yeah, it is really strange. I can remember as a kid, I used to be really excited that the roads were closed. That was the big thing about Six Nations games for me. The road was closed. I could walk straight down the road in Cardiff Town on Westgate Street, walking hand in hand with my dad, and that was the exciting thing. And obviously, it's not just the Six Nations getting impacted by this. There's also the Lions Tour. Lots of discussions happened about over the summer about whether it'll happen, or different ideas as to how it might happen. How different do you think it will be if it goes ahead? I mean, Aaron, do you think that's me sort of devalue the Lions Tour if it's not quite what it used to be?
I don't know. I don't say it's going to devalue it, because everyone, like this weekend now, everyone's really looking forward to watching the rugby. There's nothing else on, so it might make it a bigger occasion if everyone, even though they're not at the ground, everyone is going to be watching the games. With the Lions, it is, people like I know my parents, they've once in a lifetime, they're going to hopefully go to South Africa and they watch, and a couple of people we know doing the same. So, for supporters, it's going to be a big, loss.
And Ben, what do you think about the alternative plans that are being talked about for the Lions? Perhaps hosting it in Australia or hosting it here in the UK. Do you think that's going to fly?
I'm not too sure. I think the Australia one was a bit of wishful thinking. I think that's Andy Marinos behind that, and I think he sort of floated that one out, and I think that's been sort of shot down relatively quickly. Having it over here, I mean, it could work. I mean, that's working on the basis that fans will be back in stadiums over here in the summer, which, I mean, there's no guarantee of that. And also the South Africans aren't going to be too happy in terms of the money they'll lose. I think there's so much talk about you can't have a Lions tour without fans, but and I know that myself. I've been over to New Zealand 4 years ago as a fan, and it's an incredible experience. But I think we're reaching that point probably where we're just facing that whatever we do with the Lions tour now, it is going to have to be a compromise.
And a 4-year-old Wales superfan, Rocco, who you may have seen on our Twitter profile, has got in touch, and he's asking, who do you think the Lions captain will be, or who do you think it should be? Aaron, who do you think Gats is going to pick on this one?
I think he'd be going with his go-to man, Alan Wynne. Just because that's what he's done on previous tours. He's gone with Warburton, so I can't see him sort of changing his philosophy. Them 2 tours went pretty well, so I think he's going to go with someone he knows.
And Ben, do you agree? Do you think it'll be Alan Wynne again, or do you think Gats is going to change it up a little bit? Maybe go with Toji. That's the name that's been touted around the media.
I think it's going to be Rocco, probably. No, I'd agree. It's probably going to be Alan Wynne-Jones. I'm not, you're not certain that Alan Wynne is going to start the tests, but I think as a tour captain, he just ticks every box. So, I can see the cases for Maritoje, even an Owen Farrell. I know Gas doesn't tend to go for backs as captains, but Farrell, CV speaks for itself. But I think he'll go with Alan Wynne-Jones.
Right, we're turning back to our comment section now for some more live questions. We've got one here from Evan Naylor, who's asking, Aaron, do you have any habits before going on the field? Is there something you do before every single game?
I normally just have a little routine. I get strapped early. If I'm playing home, I'll go in the gym, stretching, and then there's a meeting, and then I'll strap my my lifting sausages on my legs, and then just little things like that, just to make it go smooth and sort of keep the mind focused.
I've got another live question here from Ellen from Bangor, and she's asking, Ben, do you think the players will adapt to Wayne Pivac's style of play? Of course, when he was at the Scarlets, he played some beautiful rugby. Do you think that can be adapted to the international game?
I think it can, and I think Pivac is also adapting his game to the test scene. I think we're seeing that now. I think when he came in last year, I think he tried to change a lot of things. You saw that John Humphreys did a lot with the line out in terms of Tipuric acting as a midfield playmaker. The defence obviously changed a lot under Byron Hayward. Unfortunately, that hasn't sort of worked out, and they've sort of reverted back to something similar now with Gethin Jenkins taking that post, and then Stephen obviously is trying to do what he wants to do with the attack, which is a more sort of offload based game, but they haven't always had the platform post lockdown to do that. And I think we're sort of just seeing a few tweaks now that it will ensure during the Six Nations that Wales have the platform to do that. We saw in the last game against Italy that maybe Wayne moved away from his sort of pod formations to get Faletau and Tipuric playing closer together, which worked to great effect against the Italians. And I think he'll have 1 or 2 more tweaks and compromises, which just is going to sort of bring this philosophy and this game plan more tailored to the squad he's picked.
And one personal question from me, of course, talking a lot about atmosphere and how lacking fans there. What's your favourite Welsh song that happens in the Principality? Of course, it's Bread of Heaven, Ad Hyd yn Nos. Aaron, have you got a favourite?
You can't beat the anthem, I don't think. The whole crowd singing. I always have a pause myself and just have a look around when that's going on. It's a great time in the match. And
Ben, what about you? What do you like belting out in the stadium?
I try not to belt too much out when I'm in the stadium because I feel like I'll get a few dirty looks in the press box, especially when the English journos are in. But I can't beat like when you have the choir there before the match and Hayden James is conducting, and you've got like Wahadiad and all that. That's one of my favourite parts of the job is sort of just to sit in the press box early before a game and just listen to that and see the crowd sort of come in. It doesn't get much better than that.
And finally, there's time for one last question to our guests before we let them go. And this comes from 6-year-old Dayon Naylor in Cardiff, who asks, what's your favourite Six Nations memory? Aaron, have you got one in particular?
Well, I was involved in that, was a 33-3 game in Cardiff in 2013. I never heard a noise like that, to be honest with you. Before the game, going into the bus and during the game, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's one other memory for me as well. I can remember that quite clearly. And Ben, what about you? Of course, not as a player, but as a journalist. What's your standout memory?
I'd have to go with Mark Jones nearly going the length of the field against France, because Mark's a local boy from where I'm from, Bilf, and I think in our school assembly the weekend after, we basically got showed that clip about 30 times.
Great stuff. And that is all we have time for. I'd like to thank our guests, Aaron Shingler and Ben James, for taking the time to talk to us, and you at home for tuning in. Keep tweeting us at Broadcast CGS with using the hashtag #Sofa6Nations and tell us how you'll be making Sunday special. Lynette Mary from Cardiff has got in touch, and she said that her and her flatmates are going to be recreating their favourite Cardiff pub in their front rooms, try and recreate the magic of game day. So we can't wait to be seeing photos of that on social media. And thanks for watching. Diolch am wylio, and obviously, come on Wales.